Okay. So, hey everyone. First of all, welcome to PEA Petroleum Engineers Association. So, this is our first podcast called the OG Podcast, and I'm your host Ikhtiyar. And today we have with us Mr. Manoj Bartwal sir, who is the former Executive Director of ONGC. So, first of all, welcome sir. Welcome to our first episode of the OG Podcast. And
Thank you.
how are you,
Thank you.
sir?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you,
All
sir.
right.
Perfect, perfect.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting me.
Okay. So, sir, like before this podcast, I was discussing with Nikhil कि हम अपने first podcast के गेस्ट को किसको बुलाए, and he immediately responded कि मनोज सर से अच्छा और कौन हो सकता है. and there's a reason behind it because I think the reason is that the kind of knowledge and wisdom you had being you joined WinGC like 40 years back, उसके बाद 40 साल तक काम करना and all, it's a great thing because I have seen a lot of people who are after certain age, but they they just drop the learning attitude, but you still have that learning attitude and you are still exploring new possibilities and new things. तो सर पहले ये बताइए सर, ये एनर्जी कहाँ से आता है आपको? Where this energy come from?
कहाँ से क्या आता है? I mean, I think it is innate. The mind is tuned to doing something new ever since, I was a child, and I was my father was with the Intelligence Bureau. So the postings were in very remote areas like Joshimath. I lived in Joshimath for 3 years, which is, you are hearing of subsidence and all that. I
Yes.
lived in Dharchula. I studied in Dharchula in class 3. I studied in the government college Joshimath in class 6 and 7. Then I went to Allahabad, and my father used to get very frequently transferred. So number one was that the urgency to move within 3-4 days time to a new place, and the desire to always try out something new was, I think, quite innate in my mind. Maybe genetic code or whatever, I don't know.
Genetic code.
But I mean, I think of doing something new every time wherever I am. So I think the energy is that you must try out new things. Then you will like something, you will not like something. I was in a Hindi medium school, and then I thought that it's very important to learn English, especially if you want to go for civil services or banks or lectureship or whatever. So I put in extra effort in learning English. When I did that, I pushed myself to do, real-time programs in All India Radio and television, and I pushed myself to do debates. And I failed sometimes, but ultimately it all worked better. So there is a joy and there is a self of contentment in trying something new. And now you are talking of disruption in technology, which is nothing but trying something new. So new excites me.
Hmm. And
And
also,
that's where I get my energy from.
yes, sir. And also, what I have seen, your professional journey is quite unique because, as far as I know, like you started first as a radio jockey. Okay, then you thought of preparing for UPSC civil services. Then and I'm sure like you have never thought of joining like ONGC. That was not your first thought. So then shifting from ONGC energy sector, then you did your law. So you did multiple things around this. So what was your mindset at that time, like before joining ONGC, कि मुझे ये करना है या फिर you thought of doing something else? Like क्या हुआ था exactly? वो आपका mindset कैसे shift हुआ? The transition happened. How this?
Okay. You see, it's like this that from hills we moved to the plains in 73. We went to Allahabad, then we went to Faizabad where I studied, and then later on I shifted to Lucknow where I studied in Lucknow University. And Lucknow University, thanks to it, gave me a very large canvas to work on. I was a secretary culture for students' cultural body. We went to IIT Kanpur. There is a festival called Kalfest. I was a singer, so I joined classical music and Hindustani classical in Lucknow, Bhatkhande College. Studied there for 2-3 years. So that's all there was. Then I thought of appearing for the civil services. But then after one attempt, I realized that it's a very tricky job, and you don't know whether you're going to crack it or not crack it. Or, those were the times when the information was not so readily available. We had to struggle for books. We had to borrow sometimes write copious notes and all that. So I realized that this is a tricky thing. I must do something parallelly. So I went to radio station and I appeared for the audition and they selected me. I used to do live programs called Yuvani in All India Radio Lucknow. I also did a couple of programs in Doordarshan and joined. Then I became a journalist, a sub-editor in a Lucknow-based English
Wow.
newspaper. And then I said, okay, let me appear for all the exams that are coming my way. So I appeared for state civil services. I went up to the interview. I think I was selected for police. I did not join. And then ONGC also
Oh,
happened. And ONGC was very quick to announce results. I had no idea about ONGC, frankly. But when I joined it in Dehradun and I saw what kind of a multinational kind of a company that point of time it was, it sent us to Management Development Institute for induction training. And then it made me see the word. It made me see. My first posting was in Assam, where you are from.
Assam. Yeah.
এতিয়া মই ভালকে অসমীয়া কৈছো, মই হাজাৰিকাৰ গান গাইছো. So from there, then it's been a big exposure, a lot of opportunities in ONGC where I could keep my interests alive. But one important thing was that I thought that suppose I lose my job, what am I worth in the market? And that is what kept me going. My market worth is when I lose everything. Can I start afresh? Can I, you talk of startups and chai walas and things like that. I always had that mindset that if I'm able to go to a 5-star hotel and sit there comfortably, I must also have the ability to sit in a pawn shop or a BD shop and start my life afresh. So I always had that confidence that if I lose everything, I'm confident that I'll bring back my life back on track. So something like that.
Great. क्योंकि सर ऐसा होता है ना कि when we face failure, कि एक एग्जाम्स हम लोगों ने अटेम्प्ट किया नहीं हुआ, so we go into kind of depressions. Even right now these things we can see everywhere. I tried UPSC once, नहीं हुआ, then फिर डिप्रेस हो गए. But you are in that mindset कि नहीं यार सब कुछ ट्राई करते हैं, let's do multiple things, कुछ ना कुछ तो हो ही जाएगा. So that was a big realization that you had in that time. So
see, in life only failures teach you. Successes never teach you anything. Successes make you woolly headed, they make you egocentric, they make you bloated up in ego and all that. But failures keep you grounded. Failures tell you that okay, you must do something better this time. So it's very important to have failures in life and to come out of it and to do something like that.
And like someone said, I can't remember the name, the more we see failure in early stage, the more we will succeed in the longer term, right? कि जितना हम लोग पहले मतलब वो failures देखेंगे तो सक्सेस होने का चांस बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है in the future.
एक्चुअली कुछ कह नहीं सकते जिंदगी में, हर आदमी अलग तरह से रिस्पॉन्ड करता है. कुछ लोग फेलियर से टूट जाते हैं, हताश हो जाते हैं, डिप्रेस्ड हो जाते हैं. कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं ठीक है यार भाई, जो भी हुआ हुआ, इसको हम स्टेपिंग स्टोन की तरह यूज करेंगे और अच्छा करेंगे. यहाँ देखेंगे, एक संस्कृत में बड़ा अच्छा श्लोक है कि जब आपको कोई फेलियर हो जाए, कुछ हो जाए, तो आप देखिए कि कहाँ पर गलती हो गई आपसे, उसको अच्छा करने की कोशिश करें. ऐसे सारे अच्छे जो बड़े बड़े सोचने वाले लोग हुए हैं, उन्होंने हमेशा ये बातें कही हैं कि फेलियर से आप देखिए कहाँ पर गलती हो गई है, उसको और अच्छा करने की कोशिश करिए, है ना.
मतलब वो लूप होल्स कहाँ है और फिर गैप कहाँ पे रह गया है, ताकि उसको हम लोग फाइंड आउट करें and try to get better at next time.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Okay, so let's moving on to like your professional journey. Like you started from Assam, and like how was that difficult to start your professional journey at ONGC? Because I know like ONGC is a kind of like big organizations, even in now also. So क्या वो hurdles रहे आपको, मतलब इतने बड़े organization join करने, और क्या problems you have faced, because that was your I believe first professional job.
Yes, outside of my journalism days for
journalism,
a couple of months. Yes,
sir.
But yes, I went for the first time out of northern India to eastern India. The only thing was that my father also worked for nearly 5 years in Northeast. He worked in Daporijo, that time Nefa. He worked in Dibrugarh, he worked
Wow.
in Tejpur, he worked in Jorhat. So,
Hmm.
and that time there was no bridge over Brahmaputra. So
Hmm.
I thought if my father could go 25 years back, why can't I go? Which is, it must be better now.
Yes.
So that was the spirit to try out something new. And I think that if you choose difficult situations or things that you don't know about, you emerge more confident. So we landed there. That time there was no information boom, so people had very little idea about our area, or we had very little idea about the northeast or places like that. People predominantly spoke Assamese. And
Hmm. Hmm.
initially, it was difficult for me to converse because I was placed in public relations department, which is public dealing, and I could not
Hmm.
talk Assamese. But that pushed me to learn the language. I used to listen to All India Radio Dibrugarh. I started
Hmm.
talking to my Assamese colleagues and asked them that please teach me your language. And within 6, 7 months, I started picking up the threads of it. And they were very happy. If somebody comes from outside the state and tries to learn the language or eat pitha or Tamil or
Yeah.
sing their local songs, they
Hmm.
really anybody is happy. So I got a lot of affection in Assam. They taught me, they embraced me in their arms and never let me feel that I'm from somewhere else. It was a wonderful thing. And once I started speaking, then the whole world changed. I mean, I look like an Assamese, I talk like an Assamese, I sing their songs. So
Hmm.
I think life becomes very easy. And sometimes I became a translator for people who could not speak English or Hindi, arranging their meeting with the ONGC management and trying to work as a bridge between
Hmm.
the top officers and the local people. So that's how it is. So I still love going there, being my first place of posting. I took my wife also in December. We went to our first house, met our landlords, met our old friends.
Hmm.
Wonderful feeling. We were very, very well received with a lot of love and affection. So I have very, very special regard and love for, especially Assam.
Okay, great. Okay. So talking about the company culture, actually, sir. Um, I think like in your 40 years of journey, you have seen many ups and downs. You have been into different departments from starting from entry levels to executive level. Uh, you have seen very much immensely from starting to the your ending journey of ONGC. And what what do you think, like if someone as a student who is not been into ONGC, who's been watching this episode, and he had a very different viewpoints about कि ONGC में ऐसा हो रहा है and all. So according to you, like, sir, कि कैसा है ONGC का culture, and how ONGC culture has shaped you as an individual?
See, whatever I am today, I owe a lot to ONGC because from a raw student in a university without much, wherewithal and with the basics in life,
Hmm.
it has not only given me financial independence and comfort, and I could send my sons to good colleges. It has also exposed me
Hmm.
to national and international operations, earning good friends, and interacting with people who I had no idea about. So, a couple of things about ONGC. It's a great organization. It's a really, really great organization. It looks after your welfare. It gives you tremendous opportunity to experiment whatever you want to experiment. If you have some idea in mind, you have a clear path. Money wise, I never faced any problem for doing any project because I think ever since I joined, ONGC has been making profit. So you want to try out something new. Technology wise, it is the top at the cutting edge of technology that is deployed in searching for oil and exploring and producing oil and gas. So it has been a great company. It has given me great friends. It has taken me to different parts of the world, uh, US and Singapore, London, Aberdeen, Norway, Amsterdam, Belgium, whatnot. It has. I was part of the a very exclusive delegation which went to a couple of countries. I could, see people operating at a very, very top level. So it has given me that exposure also. It has given me tremendous friend circle. Anything happens to me, or anything happens to any one of us, there is a huge group of friends who will always come forward and try to support you. Somebody is admitted in the hospital, you will find large number, which I don't find in many of the organizations, because people are competing with each other. Here,
Hmm.
the spirit is not of competition. It is of camaraderie. It is of helping each other. It is supporting each other. It is trying to leverage the potential of somebody else. So every way I look at it, I find that it is, because I still am, they say ONGC never retires. So I'm still teaching.
Hmm.
I still keep going to ONGC. I'm still in touch with the bottom level as well as top level of the organization. So it's been a great journey. We are still connected with an umbilical cord with ONGC. And I think
Hmm.
if somebody wants to join ONGC or any of the oil sectors that I know
All
of,
sector.
it is a great experience, whether it's Indian Oil or HPCL or BPCL or GAIL.
Hmm.
I think oil sector PSUs have a different feel and uh, uh, um, uh, different vibes about them. So
Hmm.
they are great.
Good. And also one more thing, what I have seen in ONGC, the good thing about ONGC is that they are not only focusing on that. Like you will go to your job, you go to field, it drill some of the oil and get back to your room. It's not something like that. The good thing about ONGC is that it also shaped you as an individual. For example, there are a lot of opportunities apart from your job. Like if I'm not wrong, in 2017, there's a news came that someone from ONGC has got into Cherrapunji, Mount Everest. So it also helped you as an individual level, as an individual, like in terms of your character build up, your mindset changes. So how this how this shape this happened, and how ONGC is helping in that part also.
See, I was heading Delhi office, and I was associated with the Mount Everest expedition.
Mhm.
In the sense that
Mhm.
I and that time my director and the head of sports, we were sort of ground controllers, and we wanted the
Mhm.
best for the, and nobody had attempted, no corporate had attempted this kind of expedition.
So
So
that was the first time
first time,
ONGC.
any
Okay.
corporate in the world,
Oh, in the world has nobody.
any corporate in the world, to my knowledge.
Huh.
So it was a great thing. It was completely new. I had no idea about mountaineering, but we attempted it, and we picked up. We There was a process of choosing people. We sent two teams. One of the teams of six people climbed Mount Everest, and they sang national anthem on top of Everest. They are into Limca Book of Records. You can Google it.
Wow.
The next year, 10 of ONGC.
I believe, sorry to interrupt, I
Yes.
believe they are not professionals. Like they are not professional
No, no,
mountaineers.
no. They are ordinary employees.
Okay.
Earlier it was only tough military people or
Hmm.
paramilitary people or individual climbers from Norway or Canada. They would climb Mount Everest, but no corporate ever attempted it, to my knowledge. And there was ordinary officers and employees of ONGC, and we asked anyone who was interested in joining, please come forward. So there was a process of filtration. We chose a team of 20 people. 12 of them were climbers, others were ground staff and project head and things like that. And one of the teams climbed Everest. And next year, 10 people climbed Kanchenjunga, which is third
Hmm.
highest in the world, and which many believe is tougher than Everest because there are no fixed ropes. So
Oh.
I was fortunate to be part of both the expeditions, and it's really a great feeling that your topic today is brand. So this expedition, these kind of
Yes.
things build brand for the organization. They were reported
Brand.
internationally.
Exactly.
So similarly, if you have an corporate brand, that brand value also gets transferred to the individuals as such also. So when you say I am from ONGC, so the brand ONGC gets, you also, it also rubs off you for some time, that you also are a part of a great organization that also builds a brand value. For instance, if you are talking to me today, I come to you as a former executive director of ONGC and head of ONGC Academy. Now that is a brand value of ONGC as such, and ONGC Academy,
Hmm.
a learning institution. So you chose me over many others because of the brand value of the corporate. I also happen to inherit part of it. So that's how it is. That's how the brand works.
Okay, great, sir. Great. Okay, so let's coming back to our like main topic, that is brand. You have already mentioned about it. So like I want to know from you, sir. Like there are a lot of misconceptions about a brand and a personal brand. So according to what exactly is a brand?
Okay. See, brand is something which speaks about yourself. It is something that how you view yourself, number one, and number two, how others view you. So if others perceive, as I told you in the beginning, that I wanted to experiment that if I lose my job, what is my brand? What is my worth? That
Hmm.
worth of mine is my brand value. What do I take to the table for the outside world? How do they perceive me? How do I perceive myself? And if that perception of the outside world is more or less the same as I perceive myself to be, then that brand gets strengthened. That value of your potential or your domain knowledge or your expertise or whatever it is, the whole package, the value of that package, I think is brand. I've written down something, but I don't want to read from the notes. I want to speak what comes to my mind. But what is
Yes.
that USP about you? What is that unique thing about you, which people will be ready to explore? If it has a commercial value, are they willing to take you on their board? So, for instance, after retirement, will some organizations come to you and offer you a job? I got a couple of offers. So that's my
Hmm.
brand value. And the offers were very, very lucrative. It's a different thing that I decided that I'll not do any regular job now. I will get into teaching or doing some social work or reading or singing or playing golf or talking to students, going to colleges, guiding or preparing students to onboard great organizations, because it's a very important thing. You get half an hour to face the interview board. You have to show your brand in that half hour.
Exactly.
So brand to me
Exactly.
is something, if you are an individual, then your worth, which is perceived by the outside world. There are many people who are not part of the organization. Their brand value is tremendous. They charge from 1 lakh to 6 lakhs rupees per day in a lecture. So that's their brand value. They are international speakers, motivational speakers, cricketers, sports persons, whatnot. Anyway, so your brand value is tested, is whatever is tested and accepted by the outside world. So
Hmm.
every month, many top people retire from different organizations. But how many of them are, as I call myself, rewired? I use the word rewire, that I've taken out once my power supply got finished, in the organization,
Hmm.
I stopped
Hmm.
holding it. I took out that plug and put it into another power socket. So I'm rewired. So I'm getting my energy from something else. I'm getting my energy while talking to you. That's that's the brand value. That is, how outside world perceives me to be. I have so many offers after retirement. In fact, they started pouring in even before I retired. Please join us,
Hmm.
head our HR setup, or do this and that. So, it really makes me very, very happy that I've been able to create, and I've been sort of, I am relevant still. And that relevance never can make you feel, out of context or depressed. It'll never, it'll always charge me.
Hmm.
Right. So I think you are getting some drift of it.
Yes,
All right.
got it, sir. And
So ask me
one
if
of the
I
yes,
have left out something.
and one of the best, I think the definition that I got, that someone said that, uh, like he, your ideas, your product, or your services can be copied, but you cannot, and that is your personal brand. And personal brand is a promise, like how perceive, like as you mentioned that how people perceive you, आपको लोग किस तरीके से देखते हैं,
बिल्कुल सही
that
बात.
is your personal brand. So as a student who's been like in college, or who is just a fresh graduate, like how they can make their personal brand to stand out from the crowd, because अभी सर oil and gas markets इतना बड़ा crowded हो गया है. Every year thousands of graduates are coming up, and there are a lot of not lot of opportunities. So I think right now this is the best time to build a personal brand. So as a student, how can someone build their personal brand to stand out from the crowd? कैसे बनाए वो personal
मैं
brand?
आपको 2 एग्जांपल देता हूँ, शायद उससे मेरी बात साफ हो जाएगी.
ओके।
आपने हिमा दास का नाम सुना होगा, जो
हाँ सर।
हिमा
सब।
दास हमारी भी, जहां तक मुझे याद है, हमारी भी स्कॉलरशिप होल्डर रही है ओएनजीसी की। हिमा
या।
दास एक ऑर्डिनरी परिवार से आती है, और उन्होंने कहा कि मेरी बड़ी इच्छा थी कि मैं एक एडिडास का जूता पहनूं, लेकिन वो एडिडास का जूता नहीं खरीद पाती थी, समझ। तो उनके पास जो भी जूता था उसमें उन्होंने एडिडास लिख
हम्म।
दिया। जब उनका नाम हो गया तो एडिडास ने हिमा दास के नाम से एक ब्रांड लॉन्च किया।
हम्म।
इससे ज्यादा क्या हो सकता है कि एक एक बच्चा, एक स्टूडेंट जो एडिडास का नाम अपने जूते पे लिख रहा है, उसके नाम से एडिडास ने एक जूते की रेंज चालू कर दी। ये आप लोगों को ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, जो करंट स्टूडेंट्स हैं, कि ये जज्बा होना चाहिए, ये स्पिरिट होनी चाहिए कि हम दुनिया उठ के हमारी तरफ देखे, अंदर से आनी चाहिए। दूसरा, आपको बहुत अच्छा मैं एग्जांपल देता हूँ, मैं बार बार बोलता रहता हूँ कि अमिताभ बच्चन हमारे टाइम में एंग्री यंग मैन कहे जाते थे। उनकी पिक्चर आती
हम्म।
थी दीवार, मजबूर, जंजीर,
हम्म।
जिसमें वो बहुत एंग्री यंग मैन थे। आज
बिल्कुल।
वो केबीसी चला रहे हैं 20 साल से। पहले उनकी इमेज थी कि ये एंग्री यंग मैन है, कोई इनके पास नहीं जाएगा, कोई भी मतलब बड़े गुस्से वाले आदमी हैं। आज वो लोगों को गले लगा रहे हैं, बहुत ही
हम्म।
अप्रोचेबल आदमी हो गए हैं, ऐसी अब आप देखो, उस एक्टर ने अपनी इमेज में कितना बड़ा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन किया है।
बिल्कुल।
एंग्री से सोशेबल,
हम्म।
दूरी से नजदीकी। तो क्योंकि उन्होंने शायद अपने को एनालाइज किया होगा कि अब ये टाइम आ रहा है कि मैं वो पुरानी चीजें नहीं कर सकता हूँ, मुझे कुछ और करना है, मुझे अपना ब्रांड बदलना है। एक पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम था कि शायद उनका सारा पैसा सा डूब गया था, और वहां से फिर उन्होंने शुरुआत करके आज फिर वो वापस स्प्रिंग बैक, और आज भी वो महानायक के नाम से जाने जाते हैं। सो यू नो, अ मैन हैज टू कीप ऑन, अ मैन और अ वुमन कीप ऑन assessing yourself. How relevant are you at this point of time? And that is your brand value. This brand also possibly some point of time has to change. And taking inspiration from, people like Hima Das and Amitabh, I also thought that I cannot go on depending on ONGC, that I'm a retired executive director from ONGC. So what? You're retired, so you're retired. So there are thousands of people who are retired. What are you now? What do you bring to the table? How relevant are you for people? So that, 2 3 years back, when I was heading academy, I said I must start preparing for a new journey in life now. I must change my brand from what is positional value. Now this is important
हम्म।
for you. There is something called positional value or positional brand versus intrinsic value or intrinsic brand. This is what you have to understand. Earlier, when I was in ONGC, my brand was positional because of the position that I was holding. After I retire, it is the intrinsic value of Manoj which is creating a brand. So you must always ask yourself, what is my intrinsic value? Is it because of my position in the organization? Is it because I'm working for Google or Amazon or Facebook or whatever big corporates, McKinsey, Ernst and Young, big corporates, or do I have a value independent of that? If I'm removed from there, from that environment, what am I? What is my value? What brand am I? That's, I think, that's what defines a brand of a person as an individual compared to the positional brand. I hope I've made it clear.
So, sorry to interrupt. One question, like, I'm a little bit confused about intrinsic value and the positional value. So, like, what should we focus on more? Like, should we focus on the intrinsic value or the positional value? Because positional value is something that we're in that position. Intrinsic value is something which is independent. तो
Absolutely.
कहाँ पे ज्यादा फोकस करना चाहिए हम लोग को?
देखो, दो तीन चीजें हैं।
हम्म।
अगर आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम कर रहे हो तो कुछ तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की पोजिशनल वैल्यू आप पे अटैच हो जाएगी, यू कांट
हाँ।
हेल्प इट, है ना। वो ब्रांड ओएनजीसी ऑफिसर है या आर्मी का है या सिविल सर्विसेज का है या पुलिस पुलिस वो ब्रांड तो आपसे चिपका रहेगा अगर
बिल्कुल।
आपने वो कर लिया। लेकिन मैं गाना गाता हूँ, मैं
हम्म।
लिखता हूँ, मैं गोल्फ खेलता हूँ, मैं बच्चों को पढ़ाता हूँ, इसका ओएनजीसी से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। अगर मेरा हैंडीकैप 16 हो गया या 18 हो गया मेरी अपनी मेहनत से, सो दैट इज माय ब्रांड। अगर मैं गाना अच्छा गा रहा हूँ तो मैं स्टेज पे जाऊंगा, मैं गाना गाऊंगा, तो कोई ये कह के मुझे इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा कि ओएनजीसी का अफसर है। वो कहेंगे ये
हाँ।
ऐसे आदमी है जिन्होंने आसाम में रहे और उन्होंने भातखंडे कॉलेज से क्लासिकल म्यूजिक सीखा और उनको बड़ा शौक है, ऐसे इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाएगा। अगर मैं कोई किताब लिख रहा हूँ, मेरी एक कहानी छपी है अभी, अनवाइंड करके एक किताब है अमेजोन पे, उसमें मेरी कहानी छपी है मेंटल हेल्थ पे। उस पे अगर आप वो कहानी पढ़ोगे तो ऑथर, जब कहानी आप पढ़ रहे हो तो आप ऑथर या उसकी पोजीशन या उसके बारे में भूल जाते हो, तब वो आपके लिए सिर्फ एक लेखक
लिखेंगे बिल्कुल।
है, आपके लिए सिर्फ एक राइटर है। सो दैट इज द ब्रांड वैल्यू which is independent of the organizational positional value. Am I clear now?
यस
So
सर,
you
गॉट
have to keep on doing that. You have to keep on, like I've done a couple of Zoom meetings, I've done a couple of trainings. I taught some things. So I went to colleges and taught and things like that. So they have nothing to do with 1GC. Of course, to some extent, yes, because I was in a position. So people call me. You also called me because of my position. But after listening to this, if people like our session, then they will call both of us because they like both of us and they like that, okay, they both of these people
बोथ
have
ऑफ
something
अस,
to offer, not because you belong to
एग्जैक्टली।
PA or I belong to ONGC. So that is our intrinsic value.
Great sir, great. Okay, so again, coming back to from a student's perspective, we see you've been to human resource from a very long time. ONGC का जो सर recruitment process है, that is quite different from other sectors or other PSUs or other oil companies. Um, in fact, uh, oil Oil India Limited and ONGC are the only two PSUs in India who will be doing the campus placement recruitments and all. So एज ए स्टूडेंट, एक स्टूडेंट को किस तरीके से एक रिक्रूटमेंट प्रोसेस को देखना चाहिए और क्या क्या चीजें एक स्टूडेंट के अपार्ट फ्रॉम देयर स्किल्स, डिग्रीज एंड ऑल, व्हाट आर द अदर थिंग्स दैट यू वुड लाइक टू ऐड, और आप क्या देखते हैं एक स्टूडेंट में व्हेन इट कम्स टू हायरिंग
Okay.
ए इंडिविजुअल?
See, I think even besides ONGC and Oil India, so there are some other organizations also, and a lot of private organizations who are going for campus placement.
कैंपस प्लेसमेंट्स।
जो पब्लिक सेक्टर है उनके पास मैंडेट है कि you have to give equal opportunity to everybody. In fact, there were some court cases some point of time that you should not go to campuses, and there was some, if I remember correctly, there was a ban, there was an injunction order against going to the campuses. It got possibly released later on. And even now, it'll be just about 10% of people who are picked up from the campus. 90% people in public sectors will still be picked up from the open market. Okay. So it is we are governed by the Constitution of India. You have to give equal opportunity to everybody. Campus का ये था कि since they came through open competition and they got into the campuses, possibly those campuses were chosen. But in an open competition, you are going for GATE, you are going for CLAT, you are going for other competitions. From there we pick up people. तो ये तो हो गया आपका रिटन एग्जाम का। रिटन एग्जाम में नॉर्मली ये होता है कि एक वैकेंसी के लिए आप 5 लोगों को बुलाओगे।
अच्छा।
So if you have say 100 vacancies, you will call 500 people for interview. But out of those 500 people, only 100 will be taken in. Who are those 10, 100? That's what is brand about. How well that's what I say, you have half an hour to 45 minutes to put your best foot forward. Because the people who are interviewing you do not know you. In fact, if they know you, they will be asked to go away from the board because it is a conflict of interest. Okay. So those people don't know you. They are going to assess you vis-a-vis others in half an hour, 45 minutes time. You have that window to put your best foot forward. Now, those are the things which are important. That point of time, your the most important thing that organizations see, and I've been in some board, is how quickly you can adapt to the organizational culture. Because see, all those 500 people who have been called for interview, they are very, very bright. What are we looking for? We are looking for your team spirit. We are looking for your adaptability to shift to the organizational culture. You may be very bright. IT companies may want somebody who can sit alone in a cubicle and work. We cannot do that. So IOC or ONGC or companies which have multidisciplinary teams, you are working in a rig where there is a mechanical engineer, there is an electrical engineer, there is a driller, there is a geologist, there is a chemist. All these people, and there are about 50, 40 in a platform. There could be 300, 400 people. So all these people have to come together as a team, and and in difficult times they have to support each other. You know, you are dealing with very, very difficult situations. So what organizations see is how confident you are. Your knowledge has already been exhibited in the written examination.
Written examination, yeah.
हो गया ना written exam, लेकिन आप उसको एक्सप्रेस कैसे कर रहे हो अपने वर्ड्स में?
अच्छा।
आप, हाँ, आपका क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट है कि नहीं है? आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कल्चर में जल्दी से अडेप्ट कर जाओगे कि नहीं कर जाओगे? ये सब चीजें देखी जाती है। आप साफ सुथरे क्लीन दिख रहे हो कि नहीं दिख रहे हो? आप कॉर्पोरेट इमेज को प्रोजेक्ट करोगे कि नहीं करोगे? अब ऐसे भी लोग हो सकते हैं, किसी ने दाढ़ी बढ़ाई हुई है या बाल बहुत बड़े बड़े किए हुए हैं, हो सकता है वो किसी कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर में आईटी किसी प्राइवेट कंपनी के फिट कर जाए। बरमूडा पहन के भी लोग जाते हैं। लेकिन नॉर्मली जो गवर्नमेंट के पब्लिक सेक्टर या गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, हम लोग की एक अलग इमेज होती है, टाई पहनना, साफ सुथरे रहना, क्लीन
यस,
शेवन होना,
क्लीन
तो
शेव
एक
टाई।
अलग इमेज। हाँ, जूते कपड़े आपके मैचिंग हो, बोलने का सलीका आता हो आपको, रिस्पेक्ट से आप बात कर रहे हो, और रिस्पेक्ट फॉर अथॉरिटी बहुत मानी जाती है गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। तो ये सब 4-5 चीजें हम लोग उस समय एसेस करते हैं, और आपके पास आधा घंटा या 45 मिनट्स है। सो योर ब्रांड विल बी एग्जिबिटेड एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम। अब अगर हम लोग बात करें हाइड्रोकार्बन सेक्टर की या पेट्रोलियम सेक्टर की, जैसे ऑयल एंड गैस सेक्टर या इस तरह के सेक्टर है, इसमें ब्रांड वैल्यू का क्या मतलब है? इसमें देखो, ब्रांड वैल्यू का बहुत मतलब है, क्योंकि इतने सारे एरियाज हैं। आप अगर जियोफिजिक्स देख लो, जियोफिजिक्स में आप पहले डेटा एक्वायर करते हो, फिर डेटा को इंटरप्रेट करते हो, ठीक है, फिर कहीं आप उसको अप्लाई करते हो। उसी में एचआर में 50 तरह के काम हो सकते हैं, रिक्रूट प्लेसमेंट हो सकता है, ऑनबोर्डिंग हो सकता है, एचआरडी हो सकता है, लैंड एक्विजिशन हो सकता है, 50 तरह की चीजें हो सकती है। तो आप जहां भी काम कर रहे हो, वहां एक डोमेन नॉलेज आपको एक्वायर करना पड़ेगा। जब आप कॉलेज से आ रहे हो तो आपको एक बेसिक रूडिमेंट्री फंडामेंटल नॉलेज है, लेकिन उस नॉलेज को आप कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में कैसे ट्रांसलेट करोगे और समय के साथ आप कैसे सीखोगे, आपकी डोमेन नॉलेज धीरे धीरे बढ़ती जाएगी। अगर आप एक्सप्लोरेशन जियोलॉजिस्ट हैं और आप यू आर वर्किंग इन से आसाम अराकान बेसिन और कैम्बे बेसिन, नाउ द टोपोग्राफी विल बी कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट। इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड द टोपोग्राफी, and I know my friends, the data shows that there is no possibility of oil, but they say, sir, we will go here. Now they have acquired that kind of confidence and knowledge that they are ready to defy many of the technical findings and interpret or interpret those technical findings in a different way, because you know the same data can be interpreted in different ways by different people. Oil could have migrated, but they say no, sir, we will go there, and they have struck oil. So that domain knowledge is very, very important, especially for exploration people, production people, PU wale jo aap bolte ho, oil and gas sector. That knowledge will come with failures while talking to your people, reading, understanding, getting abreast of the latest developments, and that brand value can be your next stepping stone. You could get I got an offer from many companies. You can get an offer. I mean, to the extent that officers of ONGC have been poached by many outsiders. They have gone all over the world because they were offered 3 times, 4 times, 5 times ESOP and more money and drawn away from the organization. And so what was that? That was their brand value, their knowledge. So that's how it is. So whichever field you are in, you know, there are police officers who somebody could be anti-terrorist specialist, somebody could be a forensic scientist, somebody could be, you know, a cybercrime specialist. So people have interest, and then they develop their domain knowledge and interest over a period of time. I never liked law earlier when I was in the university, but when I started working, I really got interested in it. And I joined even evening classes and got first division in law. Now I was so confident that I could write my own affidavit and go to the court and brief the lawyer. Wow. So over a period of time, you develop your interests which are even hidden to you. So that's how it is.
So, so you are saying that over a period of time, with time and experience, our brand value can change.
जी.
Time के साथ साथ वो भी change हो जाता है.
Time, experience, आप खुद अपने बारे में क्या सोच रहे हो? आप देखिए, बहुत से लोग जो हमारे राष्ट्रपति महोदय थे, अब्दुल कलाम साहब, वो बहुत ही सिंपल आदमी थे। उनको ना तो कोई दिखावा था, ना कुछ था, 2-4 पैंट उनके पास होती थी।
बिल्कुल।
सिंपली रहते थे, लेकिन उस लेवल ऑफ ब्रिलियंस लाने के लिए शायद मैं तो नहीं हूँ समर्थ, बहुत से लोग नहीं होंगे, हम आम आम आदमियों की बात कर रहे हैं। अगर आप में वो जज्बा है, आप में वो काबिलियत है तो अलग बात है, फिर आपके कपड़े लत्ते ब्रांड वैंड कोई फर्क नहीं करता है, आपका नॉलेज आपका ब्रांड है, आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है। हम बात उन लोगों की कर रहे हैं जो हमारे जैसे, आपके जैसे ऑर्डिनरी
ऑर्डिनरी
लोग हैं, जिनको एक उस तरह की, हो सकता है कुछ लोग उतने भी ब्रिलियंट हो जाएं, बाद में वो लोग सब भूल भाल के पढ़ाई में ही लग जाएं और कुछ उनके जैसा ही काम कर जाएं, लेकिन हम उन ऑर्डिनरी आदमियों की, लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं जो ऑर्डिनरी परिवारों से आते हैं, आपके हमारे जैसे, और उसी को फिर बिल्ड करके एक अपनी जगह दुनिया में बना, हम उन लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं।
एंड व्हाट आई हैव रियलाइज्ड कि ब्रांड इज अ काइंड ऑफ जर्नी। मतलब ये ऐसा नहीं कि आज मेरा ब्रांड वैल्यू ये है तो कल भी ये रहेगा, तो ये
राइट, राइट।
पूरा लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोसेस है। अभी एक स्टूडेंट के लिए ब्रांड वैल्यू हो सकता है, एंड लॉट ऑफ पीपल, इवन स्टूडेंट्स हैव दैट कंफ्यूजन कि हाउ पीपल आर परसीविंग मी, हाउ शुड आई नो, मतलब लोग मुझे किस तरीके से परसीव कर रहे हैं, मुझे कैसे पता। तो स्टूडेंट्स का ये बहुत ज्यादा डाउट होता है। इवन आई हैव गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस अबाउट
देखो,
दिस।
स्टूडेंट्स के लिए तो नॉलेज ही सबसे बड़ी चीज है ना,
हाँ, डोमेन
और
नॉलेज।
स्पेशली जो, हाँ, अब जो जो लोग टेक्निकल फील्ड में हैं, या जो लोग फाइनेंस फील्ड में हैं, या अच्छा जो जहाँ जहाँ भी स्पेशलाइजेशन है, उनके पास क्या, क्योंकि वो लोग होंगे 20-22 साल के हैं।
बिल्कुल।
मैं भी जब 20-22 साल के था तो क्या ब्रांड वैल्यू हमारे पास, कुछ भी नहीं। आप स्टूडेंट हैं, आप कॉलेज जा रहे हैं, थोड़ा बोलने बालने में अच्छे हैं, ठीक है ना, तो वही ब्रांड वैल्यू है आपकी। तो ब्रांड वैल्यू इज कंपेरेबल टू योर क्लास दैट टाइम, क्योंकि
क्लास।
अगर हम 500 लोगों में से 100 लोगों को ले रहे हैं, तो उन्हीं में कंपेयर कर रहे हैं ना, हम उनके साथ तो कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे हैं जो 40 साल
बिल्कुल।
के हो गए हैं या 50 साल के हो गए हैं, उनसे तो कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे हम। तो सबसे बड़ी बात यह है जो संतोष दे सकती है आपको, थिंग ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन इज यू आर कॉम्पिटिंग विद पीपल हु आर लाइक यू।
Like you,
You are
yes.
not competing with people who are, double your age or triple your age or more knowledgeable than you. No. And interview board also knows that we cannot expect experience from the people who have not worked. You understand? So they are willing to give you a chance. They are only seeing whether, given a chance, you will be able to perform with the team, put your knowledge to good use or not. That is all. They are not expecting you to be experienced when you are not experienced. So be very clear on that. So nothing to worry. The interview board is very, very enlightened. They know, they very quickly can assess. And my batch was about 41 people. Those who joined with me, but there were some other people also, 30 more people who also underwent the training with us. And now look at that, my batch. Most of the people became general managers. Some of them became executive directors like me. And my batchmate, Dr. Alka Mittal, became director
Yes,
HR.
Alka Mittal ma'am.
Person. She is my
I,
batchmate.
I
So
think she's the current director.
no, she retired in August.
She retired. Okay.
And one of my other batchmates, Mr. D.D. Mishra, also became director HR.
Okay.
So two of them became director. 6-7 of them became executive directors. Most of them became general managers. Some left. Many left also. But the point is, the batch chosen was such that they really were change agents, and they delivered well, I think. But in spite of everything, we still remain good friends. Like Alka could be my boss, but when we meet, in private, then she calls me Manoj, I call her Alka, and DD Mishra, I call him DD, he calls me Manoj Bhai. So that spirit always remained. But when you are in public, she's holding position, Mr. Mishra is sitting on a chair, we address him or her as respected director HR.
Okay, great, sir. Sir, you have like conducted so many trainings, even in colleges, in ONGC Academy. Share some कोई भी ऐसा learning जो मतलब कोई भी एक incident ऐसा हुआ है ONGC Academy में जो आपको मतलब याद है, कोई भी ऐसा कुछ unique incident, anything?
इंसिडेंट्स तो जितने भी ये यंगस्टर्स आते हैं ना, दे आर सो फुल ऑफ लाइफ, तो कुछ ना कुछ होता ही रहता है.
Full of energy.
हाँ, एक मैं इन लोगों को सिखाता हूँ कि मैं 3 क्लासेस आजकल 3 तरह के वो लेता हूँ सेशंस. एक मैं लेता हूँ कैंपस टू कॉर्पोरेट. जिसमें मैं इनको ये बताता हूँ कि अब आप कैंपस से निकल के कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में आ गए, यहाँ की डायनेमिक्स फर्क होती है। यहाँ कोई रिटन एग्जाम नहीं होता है, यहाँ रोज आपका
हम्म।
एग्जाम है। यहाँ जिस
अच्छा।
दिन आप अपने घर से बाहर निकलोगे, आपको ऑब्जर्व किया जाएगा और आपकी ब्रांड वैल्यू बनती चली जाएगी। जब आपका ट्रांसफर होगा तो लोग सब कहेंगे कि ये अच्छा आदमी है, ये नाकारा आदमी है, दैट इज योर ब्रांड
हम्म।
वैल्यू। ये टीम प्लेयर है कि ये लोनर है, दैट इज योर ब्रांड वैल्यू। ये एक्स्ट्रा काम करता है या कामचोर है, दैट इज योर ब्रांड वैल्यू। तो उस तरह की प्रैक्टिकल बातें कई सारी उनको बताता हूँ। सेकंड, मैं उनको बताता हूँ कि कम्युनिकेशन और प्रेजेंटेशन बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है।
बहुत।
जब आप आ गए, आपको बहुत एक्सपोजर मिलेगा जाने का, आपसे कहा जाएगा प्रेजेंटेशन दीजिए। कई वीआईपीज विजिट करते हैं प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे या लोकेशंस पे, यू आर आस्क्ड टू मेक प्रेजेंटेशन टू देम और टॉक टू देम। So talking and communicating well and making presentations is very, very important. And the third thing which nobody teaches, I share with them, social and business etiquettes. आप खाना
एटिकेट्स।
कैसे खाते हो, आप कपड़े कैसे पहन रहे हो, आप किसी बड़े सेमिनार में जा रहे हो तो क्या आपको बोलना है तो कैसे आप एड्रेस करोगे, आप कहीं जाओगे तो गिफ्ट किस तरह की ले जानी चाहिए, मेमेंटो किस तरह की ले जानी
अच्छा।
चाहिए, ये सब मैं उनको सिखाता हूँ। तो मैं उनको कांटे छुरी से भी खिलाना सिखाता हूँ। और बहुत सारी बातें बहुत से लोगों को नहीं है, क्योंकि पढ़ाई में लगे रहे आप अब तक। मैं
हम्म।
उनसे कहता हूँ भाई कोई कांटे छुरी से मेरे को खिला
हम्म।
सकता है, because if you are going to five-star hotel or big setup, you maybe you know the food could be such that you have to eat, and many of them don't know. So they find it very interesting how to hold a knife, how to hold a fork, how to cut with a knife and hold with a fork and put it to your table. जैसे आप ये सूप का बोल है
हम्म।
गरम, सबसे पहले जो पिया जाता है,
हम्म।
इसमें सूप कैसे पियोगे आप?
हम्म।
गरम सूप है, सूप कैसे पियोगे? सब लोग कहते हैं सर ऐसे निकालेंगे चम्मच,
हाँ।
लेकिन उसका तरीका, आप सूप को ऐसे पियोगे, उल्टी तरफ से। क्यों?
अच्छा।
क्योंकि आप जब ऊपर का सूप लोगे तो एक तो वो ठंडा होता चला जाएगा,
अच्छा।
ऊपर की सरफेस
हाँ।
ठंडी होगी। दूसरा,
हम्म।
आप उसको थोड़ी देर होल्ड करोगे तो जो
हम्म।
ड्रॉप्स होंगी वो नीचे गिर जाएंगी, और तब आप सूप को अपने मुंह तक ले आइए और पीजिए। तो इस तरह की बातें मैं उनको बताता हूँ, उनको बड़ा अच्छा लगता है। फिर वो कहते हैं कि चलिए यू गो, एंड देन वी गो टू द हॉस्टल, देन आई
हम्म।
प्रैक्टिकली टेल देम हाउ टू ईट, हाउ टू, द अदर थिंग आई आस्क देम, देन if there is a, how many of you are going to get married? So some of them are will be married. So would you like to use a tie? सब लोग पहनते हैं. Can you tell me how to use a pocket square? And many of them don't know. So
हम्म।
they find it very interesting. So I tell them, you know, 2-3 ways to put a scar in a pocket. So these are some of the things, and they keep asking me questions, and they are interested. Many of I'm in touch with most of them, and the best thing is I learn a lot, because you know, technology wise, they are the best people.
हम्म।
See, all I have is experience
हम्म।
in life, position, whatever ONGC gave me, lot of failures, lot of
हम्म।
experiences. I can only share. Otherwise, these boys and girls who are coming to join are much brighter than me. I know that. The
हम्म।
way they can make Excel sheet or make presentations and uh, deal with the technology is amazing, amazing.
हम्म।
And they can tell you solutions and they think out of the box. But only thing is, if you can learn from my experience, that if you are gheraued by say 200 people and you are threatened that you will be lifted, or all these things happen in the field. Kuch ho gaya, kisi ko chot lagi, they come and gherao the HR people and all that. You should know how to talk out of, because people are in that time very, very agitated. It happens. So how
हम्म।
to get out, how to keep your cool and get out of that. If you also start acting like them in anger and all that, then you are stuck. So
हम्म।
that's all, because I have practically handled that. Experiential
हम्म।
learning, that's what I have
एक्सपीरियंशियल
to
लर्निंग।
offer. Now, these people will also learn along the way. So why not
एग्जैक्टली।
take advantage of people who have already gone through that? That's it. That's it. So
हाँ।
every day, my classes are starting again from 28th. The first
ओके।
class will be on campus to corporate, and then so on and so on.
And I think it's very important because as you have mentioned about business etiquettes, I think a lot of youngsters after coming out college, they only have that technical knowledge कि हम लोगों ने कॉलेज में ये सब पढ़े, so ये सभी मतलब they had that wrong perceptions कि ये सभी चाहिए when you go to corporates. They don't get to understand कि as we go in upper level or higher level, we need to learn more about business etiquettes because after all we are joining a corporate. टेक्निकल नॉलेज एंड वन मोर थिंग आई हैव सीन दैट जितना हम ऊपर जाएंगे टेक्निकल नॉलेज का चीज बहुत कम उसको जरूरत होता है. मोर वी नीड इज दैट कम्युनिकेशन और बिजनेस एटिकेट्स, मैनेजमेंट, किस तरीके से वो अपने टीम को मैनेज करना है, और दैट इज मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट.
You are quite right actually. जो junior stages होती हैं, there you need more of technical knowledge. Then as you grow higher, you just have to understand what it is, because the implementers will be somebody else.
Exactly.
So you have to know how to manage teams. I've led very, very large teams, running into hundreds. It could be medical, it could be transport, it could be, especially Delhi office had a lot of teams, IT, security, fire. So if something is taking place, how do you take everybody along and how do you make them deliver? Is very, very important. And I've seen people who can destroy a very good team, and I've seen people who can create a very good team out of ordinary people. Because as a leader, you have to understand what this person is capable of. You have to play on his or her strength.
Exactly.
Everybody has strength. You just
True.
That is why right now what I'm saying is, if people are getting fired in big organizations, it is not their fault. It is the fault of the leaders who picked them up. Why are you firing them? Why did you choose them in the first place? When you should have imagined, you should have remembered that some point of time your operations can be less, your revenue can be less. So does it mean that you will be firing people? So it is wrong assessment. I think, and I keep writing on LinkedIn also, that the people who are firing should be the people who should be fired. Tatas have not fired anybody.
Yeah, it's a big
The
company from
big,
very long
good,
time.
good organizations and PSUs never fire. First of all, the employees are protected by the laws, and secondly, it is not a culture in the organization. We give a lot of opportunities to people to improve. Now, this hire and fire somehow is a typically Western concept.
Western concept.
I do not like it. I think in India, we must develop a system which is very, very close to our ethos, that the organizations have to nurture people and keep on nurturing people. And firing should be the last thing that should be done. If somebody has a moral turpitude, your services in a government organization can be terminated on two grounds primarily. One is moral turpitude, if you are immoral, and the second is act of sedition against the state. You are anti-India.
Acha.
On two grounds, you can lose your job, terminated. Otherwise, there is a process. You do something, you have to be charge sheeted. You have to be given opportunity to defend yourself. It's not that today morning you get up and you find that there is a mail saying that all your accesses have been jammed. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't just make sense to me. I think the so-called great organizations have to learn to nurture people. Take as many people as you can, take along all through their entire career. Don't hire more people if you can't manage them. They are not commodities. It somehow makes me very, very upset when people lose their jobs, because with them, there are families, they have parents, they have small children going to school, they have borrowed from the banks, they are giving EMI for their car. And suddenly, in a big corporate gives you a brand value, and suddenly you lose that brand value and you fall into a depression. It's sad. It's very, very, you have to think 50 times before you ask somebody to leave job. And I'm very,
Okay,
very
sir.
serious about it.
You are actually right. Actually, the reason, even I don't understand the reason, because in from January 21 till now, in 2023, even the big IT companies, I'm not going to take any name, even the big IT companies, huge IT companies, have been layoffs around 1 lakh jobs. And it's not from the entry level, someone who is doing from 20 years from that company, even
Yes.
they have been doing up without prior notice.
I read
So
about it.
it's a very like huge problem. Like how can you trust that any, if you're working from 20 years of any industry, and suddenly one day you just got a mail that you have been laid off, you are can't accessing any thing. So it's a very huge problem.
I'll tell you a very interesting real life incident which happened in one of the Indian companies. There was a man who made a profit of say 500, 600 crores for the company. And he was working for 20 years, 25 years. And then suddenly he made a loss of 25-30 crore rupees. So everybody thought that, he's going to lose his job. He did not lose his job. When they went to the top boss, they said, why? He made so much of loss. He said, you don't see how much of a profit he has brought to the company. So it is the same man. There must be something, MS, I have to talk to him. Why did it happen? Otherwise, this is the man who gave me a profit of 500, 600 crores. If he suffers a loss of 25 crores, doesn't matter, because the man is the same. There is something. I need to talk to him. So this guy was not fired. And that's, I think, should be the philosophy.
I think there should be a strict law against these companies to, who will be doing this kind of stuffs. There should be a strict law.
Well, private companies are not governed by the government laws in the sense that hiring and firing, because they say that if you put those laws and all the government regulations, then we will lose the competitive edge. So it's a different discussion altogether, which we can do some point of. I'm writing an article about hiring and firing. So you might read it one of these days, but I think it needs a very, very serious review.
It's a serious issue. Right? It's
just imagine the brand value of the company who fired, say, 1,000 or 15,000 people. What impact did it have on the brand value of that company? The share prices went down every single time. They might start rising again, but there is a dent on the brand value of the organization. That there is something wrong. That why they're firing people and things like that. Okay, so it's not only the person who loses the job; it's the company who also loses the brand value.
All right. Absolutely, and it also hampers the employees' family members also, because they are someone who is like taking care of the whole family. As you mentioned, they have taken some EMIs, house loans, and all. So there are a lot of hampers, not only in one employee, but it's a kind of one generation, you can say.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge problem. All right, sir. Sir, let's talk about something like our students who have been watching this. They just want to know from you, like what advice, like this is going to be the last question, like what advice you do give to our youngsters who've been watching this, and how can someone who just want to enter into the oil and gas industry, and what are the things they should keep that in their mind, that if I follow these steps, I'll be get a good job, or maybe I'll get a good future.
I'll give you a broad generic advice, which is for life, which is not for only for profession.
Okay.
Treat life as if you are driving a car. When you are climbing up in the hill, you have to go on the first or second gear. You have to go slow. You will hit roadblocks. You will maybe hit boulders. You have to stop sometimes. पहाड़ से पत्थर गिर जाते हैं, पत्थर हटाने पड़ते हैं, ब्लास्ट करने पड़ते हैं, आपकी गाड़ी की स्पीड कम हो जाएगी. ठीक है, फिर आप प्लेन में आ गए, फिर आप नेशनल हाईवे पे आ गए, then you are driving on the fifth gear. But understand that when you are driving on the fifth gear, you are not able to appreciate the surrounding hills and surrounding plains and beautiful scenery. But when you are driving slowly, possibly, although you are concentrating on the road, but you are very careful to see here and there. You are mindful. All right. So life's journey, I've realized, is also like that. You do not make in one competition. I feel people getting dejected. I failed in several. I also applied for civil services twice. I did not make it. I, of course, felt bad, but then that doesn't mean that it should stop you from you. Maybe you are meant for something different. Maybe you are not meant for that. And maybe, in the entire scheme of things, something better is meant for you. Okay, who knows? So my advice is treat life as a journey. If you hit a roadblock, if there are failures, treat them as learning principles. And मैं ये किताबी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, जो मैंने जिंदगी में देखा वो कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि किताबी बात तो बहुत से लोग आजकल व्हाट्सएप गुरुज और सोशल मीडिया गुरु बहुत सारे बन गए हैं. दूसरा, मैं सोचता हूँ किसी को गुरु नहीं बनाना चाहिए. आप में बहुत कैपेबिलिटी, आप अपने गुरु खुद बन सकते हैं. मैं अपने जब भी पढ़ाता हूँ यही कहता हूँ, आप में बहुत काबिलियत है, आप अपने गुरु खुद बन सकते हो. बी योर ओन गुरु. बी योर ओन गुरु. तो आप जो है ये जिंदगी को एंजॉय कीजिए. जिंदगी को कुछ हो गया तो ठीक है, उसको चैलेंज की तरफ लीजिए कि हमसे नहीं कर पाए, कुछ और करेंगे और मेहनत करेंगे. इतने बड़े बड़े लोगों ने, हिमा दास का एग्जाम्पल देख लीजिए आप, पुअर गर्ल, 50वां एग्जाम्पल पढ़े, एक थोड़ी है कि मोमबत्ती के नीचे पढ़ के मैंने ये किया। आजकल उसमें मजाक भी आ रहे हैं बहुत सारे, लेकिन ये सच्चाई है कि बहुत से लोगों ने मेहनत करके, जिसके पास कुछ भी नहीं उसके लिए तो टूटने का बहुत आसान तरीका था ना। आपके पास खाने को भी नहीं है, पीने को भी नहीं है, वो लोग कैसे इतनी मेहनत करके आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। बहुत से लोग ऐसे हैं। सो काउंट योर ब्लेसिंग्स इन लाइफ, व्हाट यू हैव। अगर आप सवेरे उठें और पहले काउंट करें कि मेरे पास, हम लोग ये काउंट करते हैं कि मेरे पास ये नहीं है। आप काउंट कर लो ना कि मेरे पास अच्छी हेल्थ है, मैं जवान हूँ, और मेरी जिंदगी में बहुत सारी अच्छी चीजें आएंगी, मेरे को खाने को मिल रहा है, मेरे को रहने को घर है, मेरे को पढ़ने के लिए अच्छे कॉलेज में भेजा गया है। बहुत से ऐसे लोग हैं जो बहुत होशियार हैं, आपसे ज्यादा होशियार हैं, उनको मौका नहीं मिला जाने का। सो इफ यू काउंट योर ब्लेसिंग्स and treat life as a journey which will always have ups and downs, you will enjoy the journey of job. Getting job is not a destination. Getting a job is just maybe the start of a journey. So there are people who have changed jobs. There are people, you might join a job you don't like it. आजकल तो आप लोग तो बहुत खुशनसीब हैं कि इतनी सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं। हम लोग का बहुत कम था। सरकारी जॉब, लेक्चरशिप, बैंक, नहीं तो क्या करोगे आप, क्लार्क बनोगे। आज तो मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जो मेरे बच्चे गेमिंग में हैं, जब ये लोग गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में जा रहे थे और इनको अच्छे कॉर्पोरेट ने पिक किया था, बड़े बेटे को इन्फोसिस ने पिक किया था, छोटे को माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने किया था, बड़े वाले ने तो ज्वाइन ही नहीं किया, और कोई दूसरी कंपनी ज्वाइन की, गेमिंग कंपनी, आधी सैलरी पे। तो मैंने कहा भाई,
अच्छा।
हाँ, तो मैंने कहा भाई तुम ये अपनी रोटी वोटी चला पाओगे कि, क्या लगे चला लेंगे पापा। और जब ये कोविड के टाइम में तो गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री ने और सोशल जो स्ट्रीमिंग वगैरह ने बहुत ही ज्यादा रेवेन्यू कमाया।
बहुत ज्यादा।
हाँ, सो दे दे वर नॉट ओनली एंगेज बट दे वर आल्सो। तो एनीवे, सवाल ये है कि जो आपका पैशन है, और आपने कई जगह बड़े लोगों से भी सुना होगा कि आपका जो पैशन है उसको फॉलो करिए, उसमें जो उतार चढ़ाव जिंदगी में आते रहते हैं उसको एंजॉय करते रहिए, हताश मत होइए कभी। गेटिंग डिजेक्टेड, गेटिंग डिप्रेस्ड इज नॉट अ गुड thing. Take it as a challenge, you'll do much better. So that generally is an advice, whether it
चैलेंज।
relates to job or it relates to your journey in life. क्योंकि आप, हमको बहुत सारे झटके मिले जिंदगी में, को बहुत कुछ होता रहा, सब आपको जो अभी अच्छा दिखाई दे रहा होगा, हर चीज ऐसी नहीं होती है। कोई तब के निकलता है चीज से, तब जाके वो कुछ, उसमें कुछ काबिलियत होती है, उसमें कुछ होता है। तो ऐसा हर एक के साथ होता है, जो भी कुछ लोग, लेकिन ग्राउंड पे जाइए और मतलब ये have the confidence that मैं पत्थर तोड़ने के लिए भी तैयार हूँ। तो ये कॉन्फिडेंस रखिए, ये जज्बा रखिए, और खुश रहिए, एंजॉय करिए लाइफ को।
कुछ ना कुछ उससे निकल के आएगा, जस्ट डू
जरूर
इट।
आएगा, जरूर आएगा।
बिकॉज
हमेशा
स्पेशली यंगस्टर्स में बहुत ज्यादा वो फियर ऑफ फेलियर का होता है कि क्या हुआ अगर मैं इसमें फेल हो गया तो मे बी मतलब आई एम नॉट गुड इनफ। तो वो वाला कभी सेल्फ डाउट आ जाता है इवन आजकल के यंगस्टर्स में, सेल्फ
कुछ नहीं,
डाउट।
कुछ नहीं। आपको एक अच्छी किताब और एक आदमी आपकी जिंदगी का रुख बदल सकता है। मैं बड़ा बहुत ही परेशान था, और मतलब मेंटली अपसेट था जब मैं पढ़ता हूँ कि किसी ने अपसाइड सुइसाइड कर लिया। इंजीनियरिंग की तैयारी करने वाले बच्चों ने सुइसाइड कर ली, या इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज ज्वाइन करने के 1-2 साल के अंदर सुइसाइड कर लिया। ऐसा क्यों? मैं माँ बाप को कहता हूँ कि भाई बच्चों को प्रेशराइज मत करो, बच्चों को अपना पैशन फॉलो करने दो। जिंदगी बहुत बड़ी चीज है। ये इंजीनियर, डॉक्टर और आईएएस आईपीएस नहीं बनेगा तो कोई पहाड़ नहीं टूटने वाला है, कुछ और बन जाएगा। लेकिन बच्चे को मत खो, बच्चे को पास में रखो अपने, उसको गाइड करते रहो।
लाइक
इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है कि ये आदमी का जब मेंटल सेटअप सही रहेगा कि मैं कुछ भी करने के लिए तैयार हूं, मैं अपनी, आई विल गिव माई 100%, आई विल ट्राई माई बेस्ट, बट द रिजल्ट मे नॉट बी व्हाट आई लाइक, इट इज नॉट इन योर हैंड्स। तो जैसा बहुत सारे उसमें सभी धर्मों में कहा जाता है कि आप मेहनत करिए, क्या होता है इसकी ज्यादा वो नहीं करिए, और अपनी मेहनत करते रहिए, कुछ ना कुछ जरूर अच्छा होगा। उतना विश्वास के साथ आदमी को आगे बढ़ना चाहिए।
ओके। You talked about one book and one person can change your life. Last question, sir. कोई ऐसा 3 किताब like that had inspired you, कोई भी 3 book recommendations जो every youngster or
ओके,
everyone should read.
एक किताब मेरी बहुत दिल के करीब है, उसका नाम है जोनाथन लिविंगस्टन सीगल। रिचर्ड बाख की किताब है।
अच्छा
ये कहानी एक सीगल की है जो अकेले प्रैक्टिस करती है,
अच्छा।
और जो हर्ड मतलब झुंड में नहीं रहती है,
झूठ।
वो खाना पीना छोड़ के और प्रैक्टिस कर रही है कि मैं और फास्ट कैसे फ्लाई कर सकती हूँ। बहुत ही इंस्पिरेशनल, छोटी सी किताब है, मुझे
अच्छा
बड़ी अच्छी लगती है। द सेकंड बुक आई वुड रिकमेंड इज देयर इज अ बुक बाय एल्विन टॉफलर, it is called Future Shock. In
अच्छा
1968 he wrote this book, Alvin Toffler. um, um, he talked about changing scenario and future. Then he wrote a book called, I'm talking of authors, I'm not talking of books, so you can read Alvin Toffler. The other book by Alvin Toffler is called The Third Wave.
थर्ड वेव, ये सुना है मैंने।
19, in 1982 he said the future will be governed by three things: sun, shrimps and chips. Sun for energy, shrimps for food, you will have to go to sea, and chips computer. So two things are going to be true. फूड के लिए अभी हमको समुद्र में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन 1982 में एक किताब लिखी गई थी या 80 में, आज उसकी भविष्यवाणी
स्टिल रिलेवेंट,
सच हो रही है। और उसी के आगे एक बड़ा अच्छा ऑथर है, उसका नाम है जेरेमी रिफ्किंस। जो लोग एनर्जी सेक्टर में हैं उनको ये किताब पढ़नी चाहिए। दो किताबें पढ़ सकते हैं, द थर्ड इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन और जीरो मार्जिनल कॉस्ट सोसाइटी, ये बहुत अच्छी किताब है। और आजकल एआई की बात हो रही है, द बेस्ट बुक आई रेड ऑन एआई इज कॉल्ड ह्यूमन कंपैटिबल।
ह्यूमन कंपैटिबल। अच्छा
Human Compatible is, I think, is one of the most interesting books on artificial intelligence. बड़ी अच्छी है। और भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, एक काहनेमान की किताब है थिंकिंग स्लो एंड फास्ट, बहुत अच्छी किताब।
डेनियल काहनेमान, यस मैंने पढ़ा है ये।
की, हाँ, ये बहुत अच्छी किताब है। लेकिन ये ह्यूमन कंपैटिबल मेरे ख्याल से लोगों को पढ़नी चाहिए। जेरेमी रिफ्किन पढ़ना चाहिए, यूट्यूब में देखना चाहिए। और रिचर्ड बाख पढ़िए, जोनाथन लिविंगस्टन सीगल, बड़ी अच्छी किताब। बाकी मैं नॉवल भी पढ़ता रहता हूँ, हर तरह की चीज पढ़ता हूँ, ये मेरा वो है,
वाओ,
कलेक्शन है।
काफी सारे कलेक्शंस।
और मुझे सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर बहुत इंस्पायर करती है,
अच्छा
उसके बहुत लेसन्स थे। तो ये एक वर्ल्ड वॉर पे किताब है, बहुत
वर्ल्ड
अच्छी।
वॉर का, अच्छा
ये दो किताब है वर्ल्ड वॉर पे, वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 और वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 पे। ये
अच्छा
HP विलमॉन्ट और रॉबिन क्रॉस की है, और पिक्टोरियल है। क्योंकि जितना मैनेजमेंट, जितना ये सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट एंड ऑल दीज lot of management principles arose out of Second World War. So if you just go to Netflix documentaries and see, Second World War, there are a lot of lessons. So आजकल तो बहुत किताब is not the only content. You have documentaries, you have many podcast हो रहे हैं,
पॉडकास्ट डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज काफी सारे हैं सर।
बहुत सारे आप लोग बहुत खुश नसीब है कि इतना सारा इंफॉर्मेशन आप लोगों के लिए अवेलेबल है। हम लोगों को बहुत स्ट्रगल करना पड़ता था, पैसा खर्चा करना पड़ता था,
पहले
बैठ के कॉपी करना पड़ता था, तब जाके कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती थी।
वैसे आई एम ए बिग फैन ऑफ वाचिंग टेड टॉक्स। मैं तो काफी सारे टेड टॉक्स और पॉडकास्ट बहुत सारा सुनता हूँ एंड ऑल। सो वहां से भी काफी ज्यादा इंटेलेक्चुअल वो आइडियाज आ जाते हैं एंड ऑल। So with that, sir, thank you so much. Conclude this session. Thank you so much for
Thank you to you, and thank you to
being here, for your time, and we'll be doing more this kind of session in the coming days, and we look forward to it.
Thanks to you, and thanks to Nikhil, and thanks to PA also, Petroleum Engineers Association. You are doing a fantastic job, basically to educate people in this particular segment. Nobody thought of this, so that's what I mean. You thought of something very unique. You created a niche, and now you have followers.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I say, that you guys are much brighter. You guys are fantastic, and I have to learn a lot from you. So stay blessed, and all those who are listening to us, good wishes to them. They can always reach out to us. It always gives us pleasure to be of any help to anybody if we can. We are not great, but if somebody finds it of value, it's an immense sense of satisfaction for us.
Okay, and all those people who have been watching this podcast, please reach out to Manoj sir. He is quite active on LinkedIn. I will drop the LinkedIn link, profile link. Just follow him, and if you have any questions, any queries, any doubts, please feel free to ask him on LinkedIn. And thank you, sir, once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and have a good day.
You too, have a pleasant evening ahead. Bye.